We have a unique video for you that will hopefully improve your life. Today we'll look at 15 lessons the wealthy teach their kids that the poor do not. The first is knowing how money works, whereas the impoverished are financially illiterate. Some of you may think this is obvious, yet not many people question yourself. How do people make money? Why is my employer paying me this much money? What factors influence my pay or earnings? How does the tax system work? Is it possible to optimize that? What should I do to better my financial situation? Typically, wealthy parents make it a priority to discuss the worth and significance of money in their home as soon as feasible. This introduces children to the concept of value in exchange for services from an early age. They are exposed to home costs and placed in real-life settings where they quickly learn that money is far more difficult to earn than it appears. On the other hand, the impoverished never discuss money in their homes. How much money the parents earn and how that money is spent is frequently kept a secret. The only time the kids hear about money is when their parents argue about not having enough, so they associate it with a negative sensation. The distinction between an asset and a liability is number 2. The poor have no idea what constitutes a good and terrible purchase. Poor individuals spend their money after they have earned it. That's how you keep yourself poor. Let us try to explain it as simply as possible. A liability costs you money, whereas an asset makes you money. The issue is that poor people have no idea what constitutes a liability. Both the automobile you drive to the store and the house you reside in, for example, are liabilities. They don't make any money for you, yet they need money to keep going. That applies for your new iPhone, your designer clothes, your flat-screen TV, and everything else you bought on impulse. While the wealthy spend all their time and money on accumulating new assets, such as buying a rent-generating apartment, publishing a book that will produce revenue once it is published, buying a stake in a profitable business, and so on. Isn't it true, though, that the majority of wealthy individuals have expensive cars and expensive homes? Yes, they have comforts, but pay close attention because this is crucial. The luxuries are paid for by the assets. Rich people never spend their own money on luxury. Do you want a nice new car? Then find out how to purchase 2 apartments and utilize the rent to pay for the automobile lease. That way, even if you sell the automobile, you'll still be making money. This is a significant behavioral difference. When money starts to flow, focus on purchasing assets rather than spending it. Number 3, no free lunch. It means they are not entitled to anything. The rich understand that if they don't perform, the world would take everything away from them, whilst the poor always look for someone else to look after them. Being born into an affluent family brings a lot of benefits. You have superior tools and resources at your disposal. You don't have to worry about fundamental requirements, but you do expose yourself to new dangers that poor people do not face. If you're not careful, you'll lose a lot more, so the pressure is always on. It's critical for the wealthy to teach their children that, despite having a head start in life, the path ahead is just as lengthy and they must remain focused on progress rather than just keeping up. Whether kids succeed in life is determined by their own deeds, and daddy's money can only take them so far. The wealth of families with entitled children frequently disintegrate by the 3rd generation. First, there's someone who is extremely hungry and works tirelessly to accumulate wealth. Second, their children develop the impression that all they have to do is keep the wealth. Finally, the 3rd generation has lost its appetite for food, believes it is entitled to achievement without effort or sacrifice, and spends it all foolishly. You may avoid this type of disaster by teaching your children the lessons from this video. Number 4, how to connect with others and be outgoing. You'd think that more people would understand how crucial it is to have a pleasant conversation with others. After all, successful individuals socialize their children before they turn 4 years old. Here's why other children will want to play with your child if they are socialized at a young age. Other parents will want to look after them while they play with their own children if they act well enough with other youngsters. This has a huge snowball effect that continues throughout life. If others like you and enjoy being around you, this builds up and opens doors for you that would not have opened otherwise. Teachers will treat you better, you'll have better employment possibilities, and you'll make better friends, so early socializing reaps a plethora of rewards. Poor people are also less likely to educate their children to read because they themselves do not read. Number 5, eliminate magical thinking and stop expecting immediate results. We're so engrossed in this instant world. Do you want to see a movie? Netflix. Do you want to eat something? Drive-through or takeout. Do you wish to have sex? There's Tinder. However, most individuals are unaware that money and happiness are not instantaneous. Poor people want to become wealthy quickly, win a significant sum of money, or inherit land. They have this strange belief that their lives would miraculously improve. The irony is that even if they got their hands on a lot of money, they aren't educated enough to know what to do with it, and they end up blowing it all away. Rich parents prioritize teaching their children how to play the long game. One of the distinguishing features of the wealthy is their ability to think long-term. The wealthy use a talent known as trade with the future to get an advantage over everyone else. We also learned something fascinating: how much progress you can make if you think about life in enormous chunks of time, let's say 5, 10, or 20 years. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years, Bill Gates stated in an interview. Why don't you start planning for the next decade instead of the next year, and perhaps this time you'll take action? Sixth, how to develop daily routines that will provide them with enormous benefits in the long run. One of the most important skills you can teach your child is how to develop a habit. Habits are incredible, and once you know how important they can be, your life will alter dramatically. A new habit usually takes about 21 days to form, and once you've gotten through the 21-day mark, you're off to the races. That behavior becomes ingrained in your being. You're not reading enough? Turn reading time into a routine. You'd like to get in shape but can't seem to find the motivation to go to the gym? Make it a habit to do so. The same is true at work. If you make it a practice to organize and improve your workflow, you'll find that you have more time on your hands. The wealthy employ habit to advance in life. The impoverished, on the other hand, develop harmful habits that lead to destruction. Habit is a tool that amplifies anything you feed it. The wealthy chose wealth-creating activities as their everyday routines, whereas the destitute choose negative ones. Be cautious about the habits you teach your child. Children pick up on what you do rather than what you tell them. 7. Money is a tool, and it's a good one. How often have you heard that money is the source of all evil? That's a lot. Okay, go back to the individual who said it. What was their level of success? How content were they in their daily lives? Poor people blame their misfortunes on a lack of money in their lives, and they associate the concept of money with negativity. This is because even when they receive money, it causes them to encounter new difficulties that they are unable to address. The wealthy do the total opposite. They understand that money is only a tool that helps you get around in life. We exchange nothing more than bits of paper and plastic with artwork on them for material worth, nothing less. Stop taking money too seriously and put it to its intended use. Change it for something better in your life. It looks a lot like scissors. You can use them to chop hair or stab yourself in the eye. We have no idea why individuals chose the latter option. When you start thinking of money as a tool, the game changes and you'll eventually quit killing yourself with it. Number 8, instead of cutting costs, increasing income. How to make more money is one of the most important lessons a parent can teach their child. It takes the same amount of effort to build a fortune as it does to barely exist. This may appear strange to some of you, but it is the reality. The difference is in how you go about it and the knowledge you have to back it up. The less effort you have to put it into the real world, the smarter you are from a financial standpoint. That is why Wall Street brokers make significantly more money. Who do you believe puts in the greatest effort out of the two? Poor individuals are continually trying to cut costs as much as possible to the point that life is nearly unusable. Do you believe the wealthy are concerned about whether they spend $5 on a Starbucks coffee or $30 on a movie? Rather, the wealthy concentrate all of their efforts on increasing the amount of money streaming in. There will always be big sums of money left over at the end of the month if you drastically boost your revenue. Rich people focus on growing their money, whereas poor people educate their children how to reduce expenses. When you combine that with the second lesson on this list, you've officially won the money game. Number 9, in the long run, knowledge is more precious than money. Another quotation that we keep hearing was one that took a long time for us to fully appreciate the entire significance of. Invest in yourself. It gives the finest dividends, the saying goes. However, it has little to do with attending school or reading books. It has a lot more to do with boosting your worth in the eyes of others. People who are valued are rewarded in the world because they can create value for others. They can receive everything they desire in exchange for that worth. The poor do not teach their children the value of becoming a valuable person, and just a few wealthy parents bring it up as their children grow up, but those who do see a better likelihood of both success and happiness. There are various ways to add value to a company, from filling a position to developing a popular product or service to presenting your talent to the entire globe. You will get wealthier the more valuable you are. Increases in knowledge, skill level, and time are the only ways to grow more valuable. Learn how to be a better person and then practice being a better person for long enough to notice a change. Anything takes 10,000 hours to master. That is why the wealthy have their children participate in a variety of activities in order to gain a head start on the required amount of hours. A person with knowledge will always be able to create money since they are valuable to the marketplace. However, this is not always the case. Knowledge can often be prohibitively expensive. Number 10, don't work for money. Let money work for you. This is the cornerstone of how to become wealthy. You can study as many books as you want, attend seminars, obtain an MBA, or do anything else you want. Poor individuals exchange their time for money rather than spending it, the theory goes. The wealthy spend their money to make more money. These two groups of people have vastly different approaches to finance. Most people remain impoverished because they assume that investing requires big sums of money. Otherwise, it's pointless. While the wealthy are constantly looking for new methods to increase their passive income, because it's not about the number as much as it is about freeing up their time. If you know what you're doing, you can start a business for less than $100 and even for free if you're prepared to put in the effort. Use the money you earn to hire someone to do the things you used to do in order to keep the business functioning while you focus on growth and other things. The core of any wealth-building plan is the concept of passive income and understanding how to use money to generate more money. When people ask us what book they should read first if they want to be wealthy, we always recommend Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. When we first started out, it was the first financial book that influenced our behaviors and beliefs. It has been translated into every language known to man. It's an extremely valuable book. Number 11, the fastest way to get rich is to solve problems. The basic difference between getting paid and getting rich is something the wealthy are quick to tell their children. Allow me to explain. Poor individuals are paid to perform something that someone else needs. For example, delivering the newspaper, washing the car, answering the phone, and other single-activity professions where you essentially repeat the same task. Because monotonous work is easily outsourced, the wealthy never perform it. Instead, they concentrate on the major issue. The more problems you solve, the more money you make. That's how newspaper delivery evolved into content websites. Similar results, less effort. Answering the phone has evolved into automated messaging, and Google has a new AI that will probably eliminate the need for receptionists forever. Let's take a look at three of the most well-known modern entrepreneurs: Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. They all became extremely wealthy by solving challenges for humanity and developing products and services to support that goal. People will pay money to have their concerns solved by you. Teach that to your kids, and they'll be on the road to success. Number 12, do not waste time on things that are unrelated to reality. Sorry to break it to you, but your ethnic or gender studies degree has no value. Journalism, film and media, history, and other fine art majors and degrees are similar. To be honest, we believe that the entire educational system is currently in disarray. They're just repeating things to you that used to make sense a long time ago with no consideration for the future. You're basically going into massive debt for skills that, one, have no direct correlation to the marketplace you'll be working in once you graduate, and two, if you're truly passionate about any of those topics and put in the time to master them, you'll have a better chance of succeeding on your own anyway. We're giving money we don't have to kids who will never be able to repay us for jobs that don't exist. Isn't that insane? For the past 40 years, we've been doing just that. Number 13, how to employ good debt rather than bad debt like the poor do. Yes, there are two kinds of debt: bad debt that makes you poor and good debt that makes you wealthy. Did your parents ever tell you about this when you were a kid? Most likely not. It's one of those things that the wealthy have known for a long time. If you understand the difference between the two, other people and institutions will actually assist you in becoming wealthy faster. It's all about the debt's purpose. Poor people take out loans with the intention of using the funds to pay off debts. They take out loans to buy a new car, a new phone, and other needs. The wealthy simply borrow money in order to increase their wealth. Banks and investors are eager to lend money to this type of business if you can demonstrate that your money will be safe and that you will be able to repay it. That is how skyscrapers are constructed. They don't pay for the structure or the land with their own money. Everything is borrowed. The bank is confident in your ability to sell or rent a property and is willing to assume that risk. All you have to do now is to show that you know what you're doing and have done it successfully before. Number 14, with only 20% of the effort, you may get 80% of the outcomes. Rich parents do not want their children to be class leaders. Isn't it surprising? It all comes down to the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle or the Pareto distribution, which claims that only 20% of the activity results in 80% of the outcome. In companies, just 20% of consumers generate 80% of revenue, and 20% of your workers do 80% of the work, and so on. This is a mathematical ratio that has been found to be very accurate in practically all businesses and in everyday life. Going back to why wealthy parents do not want their children to be the top in class, it takes far too much time and effort. To improve with the smallest variation, you'd have to put in a lot more time, which wouldn't leave enough time for your real-life schooling. Experimenting in the actual world has greater value than staying inside and studying all night simply to earn a 5% or 10% higher on your exam. The 80-20 rule was originally introduced in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, and we've been using it ever since. Richard Koch has written another book called The 80-20 Principle that is solely about this idea. Number 15, money does not make you a better person, it simply alleviates some of the problems. Surprise, surprise, surprise! Rich kids conjure up images of snotty, arrogant jerks who believe that just because they have money, they are superior than everyone else. That isn't always the case. Unless you were born into wealth, you most likely worked your tail off to get where you are now. You must comprehend the value of humility on the way to prosperity. And most wealthy people are quite humble because they never forget their origins. These values are not forgotten. Because they know what it's like to be on the other side, rich parents teach their children humility and respect for others as early as kindergarten. You should never be ashamed of your wealth or your achievements. It's actually something to rejoice over. You can't purchase a clear conscience no matter how much money you throw at it, is a lesson most people learn too late in life. Money can buy physical comforts, but not mental or spiritual comforts. Teach them to set higher goals for themselves. Do you want your child to have a better life than you? Teach them to not accept rubbish and to have high expectations. Some individuals believe that reducing your expectations in order to achieve them is the key to happiness. The key to financial success is to raise your expectations and then exceed them. The bulk of individuals who are content with mediocrity and never take large risks in the hopes of big rewards, although the rivalry is great at the top, there are far fewer players playing. Consider this. Would you rather have modest expectations and then exceed them, or would you choose to fall short of your best ambitions? When comparing the two outcomes, the latter is greater in comparison. Okay, the question we'd like to leave you with is this. What life lesson did your parents teach you? Please put it in the comments for others to benefit from if you're so kind. We'll respond to those who we think are the most interesting. Are you aware that we actually read those comments? Now, as a reward for sticking it out until the finish, here's a bonus fact. I'll see you in the comments section. Thank you for taking the time to visit with us. Please like and subscribe to ensure that you never miss another video.